In this video, we're transforming my youngest brother Dakota's hair from this long man bun grown out hair that we had fun with for a while into this really awesome undercut classic men's hairstyle with a bunch of texture. So let's get started. I love that my brother says cut my hair however you want. I just want it to be shorter, so of course I'm going to go with this super cool haircut. So I'm going from the temple area down to a V in the back like you see me on the low crown area. So this is going to be even on both sides, and you want to make sure that you're looking at the front temple area in the mirror and making sure that it is exactly perfect. I'm super picky with my sectioning on this because it needs to be absolutely perfect. So when doing this section, just see where your client's hair falls, where their natural part is, if they have any cowlicks, and also you don't want to go farther than the parietal ridge of the head. That round of the head is where you kind of want to stop your sectioning at, so just make sure that you are checking everything out before you start doing your section. Then I'm going to start with a guard 5 on my clippers, and I'm just going to start taking off all of Dakota's hair because it's so long. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a gradual shorter to longer, going from the nape to the top of the head. So I'm just going to get this out of the way so I can actually see where I'm putting in my weight line and everything. Now for the fun part, after we have the shock of him not having long hair anymore, I'm going to start by using my clippers from the nape and working my way up. I'm going to use my comb because I see a lot of awesome barbers use this technique to kind of help to get the hair up, so that way you guys don't have some longer hairs stuck still laying down flat to the head. And I really like to work my clippers in quite a bit to make sure that I have all of the hair cut, and then I'll go back later and do a little bit of scissor over comb to see if I have any stragglers that are still trying to hold on. So I'm just going to go and do this to about the low occipital area in the back. So everywhere behind the ears are going to be taking this guard 5 all the way through to the low occipital. Then you're going to be transitioning to the front and side temple area. I'm going to take a small section from the parietal ridge up because that's going to be where I'm going to be using my larger guard. So I just kind of like to put this up so I can see exactly where my weight line is going to fall once again. So using my guard number 5, I'm just going to take out the side and temple area, making sure that we're leaving some of that weight into the parietal ridge. So you guys kind of want to transition your weight line, as you can see it visually, going from the back, from the front towards the back of the head. So you guys can start to see this really heavy weight line set in. Then once I have most of all of that done, I'm just going to drop that top section that I just kind of pinned up real fast, and I'm going to put that weight line in there, stopping at below the parietal ridge, because remember, we're going to be going back with a larger guard for that top section. And then I just like to check for balance on both sides to make sure that they are nice and even. And now you guys can see, do you guys see that heavy weight line below the parietal ridge, and it's slowly transitioned to a little bit deeper in the back, and then going towards the front of the head, it's going up once again. That is what you want to see, because now we're going to go in with our number 6 guard, and now I'm going to trim off that kind of top layer. Now when you're using your guards, you want to make sure that you're pushing it up and away from the head. You guys don't want to be going in because we need to have a certain weight line that sits on the head, because we'll be going back and softening this whole top area with our thinning shears. But for now, you guys want to be doing the motion where you see me pulling the clippers up to the head so that it is actually staying nice and squared off, so it's not going to be taking off that length until we actually want to go in and use our thinning shears on it. You guys can totally use whichever guard size that you want. You guys can go really short on this. I just wouldn't go any longer than a 5 and a 6, because then it just starts to not get that disconnection that looks good. So now I'm just going to use clipper over comb technique to make sure that I go through and see if there are any longer pieces kind of sticking out, and I'm just going to do this all the way from where the 5 transitions to the 6 and make sure that it's nice and even. Then I am grabbing my thinning shears, and we're going to do a nice softening of that area that looks a little harsh. So right from where the 5 to the 6 guard transitions, and then as well as to that heavy top weight that you guys see in that top line, we're going to go and thin all of this out. Now my brother has super thick hair. It is a little bit finer and his hair is very straight, so it's easy for me to go in and kind of transition this to be a softer look. So just make sure that you're constantly combing and looking at where the weight line is falling and taking out the proper amount of weight, and that way that when you look at it, it's a very nice soft look and it doesn't look super harsh. So now that we have all of our undercut finished, we're going to take the top part down, and my brother's hair was so long. We were just thinking, maybe he should stay like this because it's looking pretty dang good, like maybe like as I lie dying or something like that. Okay, so now we're going in and we're cutting the top part of the hair. Threw in a little diagram, which I made more manly with facial hair, so you guys can see this is going to be longer towards the front of the face or the front hairline, and then shorter going back towards the crown area. So I'm actually cutting this with thinning shears because I want it to be super soft as I can get it, because if you make this a really harsh line, it's just not going to blend as easy. So my number one thing that I like to use is a thinning shear. So I'm going to put in my established cut line towards the back, and then I'm just going to continue to just kind of thinning shear this off, opening and closing my scissors or my shears until it is completely gone, the length is gone. And then when I'm working towards the front of my hair, once I get past the high part of the ear, I'm going to section a small section of the hair, working from the back towards the front, and I'm going to over direct this back. Then I'm going to follow my guideline of my length and then just start to take that length off. The reason why I am over directing it is because that is what is going to get us a little bit of length towards the front, so it's not a super harsh, just blunt line, and needs to get longer as it transitions towards the front. So again, I'm going to grab that front piece and I'm going to over direct it back towards the previous sections and then just chisel in that line. And you guys can see as I brush it, it's getting gradually longer towards the front. So super easy. And if you have a few longer hairs left over, just go back with your regular shears and take those off. Starting in the crown area, we're going to start to put in our texture and remove a bunch of this weight. So I'm not quite taking a section that is a 90-degree angle. It's probably more like a 60-degree angle, and I'm just starting to work my way and take out a ton of weight and kind of that little point on the top of the head. It needs to have some layering, but remember, we need to have some length to this, so don't go in and take a lot of length from underneath. But what I'm going to start doing is just adding a bunch of texture and taking out tons of that weight. So I am taking my sections, working from the back towards the front and following that kind of guideline. I'm taking out, you guys can see, I'm doing a little bit more of a 90-degree angle, just coming straight out from the head for the top, and then I'm going to start working my way down the head, going towards the side and taking out some of that weight line. Moving towards the front of the hair is where you want to take out a weight in a different way. So instead of taking out length, like you guys can see, I'm just kind of taking out some of the weight on the ends there. And then instead of taking off the tip or the point on the top of the head going from 90, I'm going out and I'm going and taking in super deep chunks and taking out weight just in one certain place. So I'm taking it out in one spot and then moving my shears up. You guys can see me kind of like almost doing like a slide cutting, but it's a little bit different. So instead of taking out the actual length, I'm just taking out a ton of weight because we want that super cool length towards the front. I normally say about from the front of the ears towards the front of the face is where you guys want to start doing this technique versus taking off the length and layering using a 90-degree angle. So you also might want to just kind of brush it and comb it and see if you guys need to go in vertically and take out some weight from that sideline where you guys cut in the actual length of the hair of the perimeter. So now that we have all of that done, I'm just going in and I am cleaning up the edges all around his neckline and his ears. Then I went and shampooed him, and now we're going to start to do the blow dry. On the side that is the shortest part, I'm going to blow dry this down using a comb. This just helps to lay the hair a little bit flatter to the head than if you were just to let it dry upwards or air dry. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the opposite side, so I'm just going to brush over the long parts of hair and then brush that undercut down. Now we're going to start on the top part. So I'm going to add a little bit of Gangster Grip to the hair. This is a really awesome EVO product that just adds a ton of texture and volume and hold, and maybe a little bit of mohawk action in there as well. Then using a vent brush, I am going to blow dry his hair up and back from his face. This is going to give it a bunch of volume so that the hair can sit up kind of high depending on what kind of look you're going for, whether it be a super textured look or a super slick smooth look. This just helps to give it that volume. And then I'm going to be using Cassius clay. This is by EVO as well. It actually ended up being a little too thick for me. I didn't have as much play that I wanted to, but once we got in the hair, it was like, whatever, we are good to go. We're just going to mess around with it. It's just a little too aggressive for my type of taste, but it works for the hairstyle. So then I just start to rub it all through his hair and kind of move it back away from his face and just kind of start to get it exactly where you want it to be. I am looking at my little brother who's 15, and I feel like he just grew up a couple years. So this is the finished style, this super cute undercut look with this classic slick back or pushed back top. I like that it's a little bit modern because it has that texture on the top and it just looks super cute. And this one was a little bit harder for me to describe for you guys, but I hope you guys get the gist of how I did this haircut.
Hashtag goodbye, hashtag puppy hair, hashtag there's so much hair on the ground. This is so much hair that we cut off. Look at it, that's next to my foot.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to see another haircut tutorial, I will have this one linked in the description box below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!